we're going to start with the front of your composition book. And you can start by putting on the front your name. So I'm going to put my name. And this front side is going to be our notes side. So I'm just going to label it notes. Okay. To help us keep track of the fact that this is our notes side, we're going to open it up and start a table of contents. So on the very first page, so you can see that I have my inside cover on one side and then the front page on the other. This we're going to call our table of contents. So we're going to write that in the top. I realize my video is a little bit delayed. That's okay. So it's going to be table of contents. And you'll find that I love to put bubbles around things like I put on my notes. That, of course, is totally optional, but I like it. So I am going to do it because this is my writer's notebook. So open up yours, just like you're seeing now in the video. It's a little delayed, to the very first page, and you're going to call it Table of Contents. It's really delayed. We're going to make 3 columns in our table of contents. The first is going to be our entry number, and I'm just going to put a number sign, which you guys now know as a hashtag. And then I'm going to say the label or lesson. Actually, I'm going to call this, lesson. I'm going to call it lesson. And I'm going to leave a lot of room for the lesson because that's where I'm going to put the most words. The label number is just going to be like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I don't need to have a very wide column for that. I do need a wide column for my lesson. And then over on the far side, I'm going to write the date. And I do not need a very wide column for the date. So the lesson you're going to notice as soon as my screen catches up is going to be the closest or the widest column. Let me see if I can. I'm going to try share. Okay, so we've got lesson 1, and this lesson is going to be called Notebook Rules. Now we're going to put today's date on there, which is August 18th, 2020. Okay. Notebook Rules, August 18th, 2020. So the actual lesson, number 1, Notebook Rules, is going to go on the next page. So stick with me. So we've got our table of contents on the first page, and then we're going to
wait. I need more time.
And then we're going to turn the page to Notebook Rules. Okay. So don't freak out because you're going to see all the same thing when I turn the page because we're going to write the title at the top just like we did in our table of contents. So we're going to write number 1, and we're going to call it Notebook Rules. And then we're going to put the date. So this is the exact same thing that we wrote in our table of contents. And then this is where your highlighter comes into place as soon as my video shows up. Because I like to highlight the title in my notebook so that it just brings my eye to the fact that this is a new lesson. And this is the first page of the lesson. Okay. Nico, you have a question, buddy?
keeps on freezing and not freezing.
Yep, I know. We're going to work with it. Clara, you have a question?
Can you work a little bit slower, please?
But you're seeing the repeat right now, right? Writing the notebook rules and it's doing it all again, and I'm waiting for you to do it, right? Notebook rules. So you're seeing the delay in the video is actually nice because it's repeating the same thing. Okay. Show my pencils up when you're ready to move on. Yeah. No pages are to be torn out of your notebook. No pages torn out. That's why we use this composition book. As we're taking notes in our notebook, we're going to do our very best to stay in the margin. Come on. Margin. Okay, and as we're waiting for it to catch up, I'm going to tell you that the margins are the red lines that you see in your notebook. So you see one on the left, and then you're going to see one margin on the right-hand side that you can just barely see through the page. Okay, so we're going to try to keep all of our writing inside the margins. For the notes, no pages torn out, stay in the margin. The next note is, highlighter is only for highlighting. What that means is you're not going to draw with your highlighter. You're not going to write with your highlighter. You're going to write with pencil. You're just going to use your highlighter to highlight things, words, phrases, titles, and such. So we've got 3 rules so far. No pages torn out. Stay in the margin. Highlighter is only for highlighting. Is doing okay? Doing okay, Clara? Okay. We're going to write in pencil. You might have noticed I just said that. We're going to write in pencil. So because we're writing this as a rule, you won't have to ask me, can I write in pen today? Can I write in marker? Can I write in crayon? We're going to write in pencil. And we are going to do our very best. The last rule overall is we're going to do our very best to keep it neat. We want to keep things neat. So we're going to have special rules just for the note side. There's only 2 things to write down for this side. And the first one is, in the notes side, we are only going to write on the front of the page, okay? Which is what we're doing right now. We're not writing on the back. I didn't turn and write on the back of my table of contents. I wrote on the front of the next page. So our first rule for the note side is, and I know that it's lagging my share screen, so it'll catch up in a second. we're going to write only on the front of the page. See, I've got notes side in my little cloud because that's how I like to do it. And then my first rule on the note side is write only on the front of the page. And we'll see if we end up gluing things in. If we were in the classroom, we would be gluing things into our notebook, but we will write this note down just in case, this rule. On the note side, we're going to use minimal glue if we are to glue things in. That just means we don't want this to be a big blob of glue, because then it's not very user friendly. Okay? So when we're done with these notes, we're going to label up our practice side. And there's just 2 rules for the practice side. It's going to be a little bit different than the notes side. Doing good, Clara? Now I just wait for the screen share to catch up. The first rule on the practice side is you can write on the front and the back of the page. Okay, so that's different than the note side. On the note side, we only write on the front. On the practice side, we can write on the front and the back. Okay, so that's different. And then on your practice side, because we're going to be doing lots of editing and revising, the other rule I'm going to ask is that you skip lines between entries. And I'll show you more about that. So that's the last rule we're going to write down. Skip lines. I'm going to change that to say skip a line. Skip a line. Oh, between entries. I'll tell you more about that. Let me get that. Okay. Almost catching up. Skip a line. I'm going to clean this up a little bit. Skip a line between entries is the last note. Okay, when your notebook looks like mine, you're done taking notes for now. And then I'm going to show you how to flip your notebook. You're going to take your notebook like you're showing it to me. Now it's right side up when I see it in the screen, when you see it back. And now, so that means that the side that your book opens on is in your right-hand side. So it's like opening backwards as you're looking at it. So you're gonna flip it over so that it opens like a book. So the binding part of your notebook is gonna be on the left so that when you hold it up to the screen, it's actually gonna be upside down. Okay, so everybody should be holding their notebook. It's going to be upside down when you look at it, but it's going to open properly like a book. So technically you should be holding the bound section in your left hand. Abby?
I forgot my composition book at home. I'm at my grandma's house by now, but I found some lined paper and I wrote it on there, and then I'm gonna tomorrow, and when I go home, I'm gonna remember to write it in my composition book.
That is a brilliant problem solving. Yep, brilliant. Good idea. So this is going to be the practice side. It's going to be really hard to label right now because my whole notebook is black. So I'm just going to maybe put a big P up here on the barcode, just so I can see. If I had a sticker at school, I would be passing out a sticker. If you have some white part on the back, you can put it in there, but let me show you. See how it's upside down? See, all the words are upside down? The numbers are upside down. So when I open it up, you'll see here in a second, it's not too slow. When we open it up, it's going to be upside down and backwards. Well, it's coming. It's coming. So we're going to do a practice entry today. So this is what it's going to look like. I'm going to put a title, practice entry. And we'll just write for 5 minutes since we have to build up our writing stamina. And I'm going to label it with today's date, 8/18/2020. So you see how in the video you can see at the bottom is like the top of the paper. And the margin, the bright red line, is on the right-hand side because my notebook is upside down. And I'm writing on the very last page. Okay, this is the craziest part. Has anybody ever written in their notebook upside down and backwards? No, thank you, Matt. No, it's so crazy. And it feels weird and wrong, which makes it kind of fun. Okay, and so I like to highlight the titles of my entries. So this is going to be our first entry, and I'm just going to run my highlighter over it one time to highlight the entry. And then we're going to be ready to go. And we are going to write for 5 minutes. Then we're going to take a break because this has been a lot of work, huh? We've almost been doing this for half an hour. Okay. So why don't you actually stand up when you're ready? So when your notebook looks like mine, you maybe you have your entry highlighted and maybe you don't. If you don't have a highlighter nearby, that's okay. The video is really slow, but in a minute you'll see how it's highlighted. Let's take a picture of this. Here I go. Here I go in my video. It's like I'm on delay. So after you highlight yours like mine, will you stand up so that I know that you're ready? Entry, and it's just a practice, and our whole goal is to write for the whole time. Okay, Madison, can you hear me? So we're going to write for the whole time in the backwards, upside down part of our notebook. Okay? And you can write about anything. You can write about how your day is going. You can write about your weekend. You can write about something that happened to you at lunchtime. Jason Sokill, you can write about what you did this summer. You can write anything. So I'm going to give you 30 seconds to choose one topic that you want to write about.
Are we gonna write for 5 minutes?
What made you think that?
This is practice entry, 5 minutes.
That's right. We're going to write for 5 minutes. Right now I'm going to give you 30 seconds to decide what you're going to write about. So no writing yet. Show me your hands. Show me your hands. No writing. We're just thinking. 30 seconds starts now.
I need to put away my mom's phone because I was asking my dad what's wrong with it.
You have 30 seconds, Madison, to decide what you're going to write about. You write about how hard it was to follow along. Okay. All right, give me a thumbs up when you have decided on a topic. Now, you can start on this topic. You can change your mind as you're writing. You can run out of things to say about how you are feeling this morning, and then you can switch. That's totally fine. The goal is to write the whole time. Okay? And as Jason clarified, we are going to write for 5 minutes. Okay? So your only job right now is to write. And we're following these rules. We're on our practice side. So remember, the rules on our practice side are we can write on the front and the back. So if you were to fill up this whole page, you can turn to the next page and just start writing on the back. You do not have to skip lines as you're writing. You just need to skip lines between your entries. So we're only doing one entry today, so we don't have to do any skipping of lines. Go.
I have a question.
I can't answer your question right now because I'm writing.